My heart's desire was always to be a mum. I always knew that I wanted to have children. I've just turned 40 years old this year. Me and my husband got married 13, 14 years ago. And as soon as we got married, we started trying for children. And I had a couple of early miscarriages, which was quite painful. And then the problems actually started happening in regards to not being able to get pregnant. We'd consistently have prophetic words that we would have children, that we would have more than one child. Then as the years kept on going by and it wasn't working for us, there was, that questioning in God, is this really going to happen? I'd see my friends having children and I'd see my friends having their second children, and I just remember there'd be times when I'd just be crying like, God, where are my babies, And yes, it was a really intense time. My pop, who I was very close with, loved him. He passed away suddenly, and one of my biggest desires was that I would have children and my grandparents would meet my children and have something to do with them. And when he passed away, that for me was probably the most painful point of me not conceiving or having a child. But little did I know, a week later, I fell pregnant naturally. And I actually didn't know that I was pregnant for the first 2 months of my pregnancy. I didn't say anything to my husband because I was expecting that I was, but the other part of me was too scared to believe because of the disappointment we'd had constantly over and over again, and I didn't want to disappoint him. And then I just really felt like God said, you need to do a pregnancy test. I walked out of the ring because I was like, I can't watch it. And then I came back to look at the pregnancy test and I was definitely pregnant. The line was quite, I was like, oh my gosh. And I just lost it, just cried and cried. And all I could say was, oh my God. Oh my God, I was hyperventilating. I went to my doctor. I went into her and I said, I need to do a pregnancy test. And she was like, Naomi, are you sure? She's like, there's no way you'll be pregnant. And I'm like, no, you're not understanding me. I've done a pregnancy test at home. I need to do another one because I'm pregnant. So we did the pregnancy test and sure as anything, it came back that I was pregnant. Me and my husband went back to the GP the day after to get the blood test results on the pregnancy. And in that meeting, she actually told us that we don't hold much hope for this pregnancy. It probably won't reach the full first term. But then I also in that moment was like, no, I know my God is bigger than that. And this baby's been prayed for and has been declared for like 10 years. At the time that I found out that I was pregnant, we were doing a school called the School of the Prophets with Gary and Sarah Morgan. And Grace has been a very dear friend of mine and Aaron's for quite a few years now. We met through a Christian ministry. Anyway, so Grace came into town. We all went to school together that night, and then that night before we were going to, we'll come on the way home, she was just a little bit funny, and she's like, can we have breakfast tomorrow morning together? I want to talk to you about a few things. And I'm like, okay, yeah, no problems. Grace is sitting there across the table from me and she goes, I know we're trained on not to do certain things, but I really believe you're going to have a child soon. God's told me to tell you that your baby is coming. Now, she didn't know I was pregnant. I'd only just found out the day before. And we didn't want to tell anyone until the first trimester was over and done with. And so I'm sitting there going, oh my gosh. On the inside, I was screaming, like, oh, if only I could tell you, sort of thing. So she's like, God's told me to tell you that your baby's on the way, the baby's coming. You just need to look after your health and God will protect your baby. So, and then she went on to tell me how God had told her to paint me a picture. So I was like, okay. And she's an amazing artist. And I was like, okay. But on my inside, I was like, please don't paint a picture of a fetus. I don't know if I could handle a picture of a fetus on my wall, and I don't know how confrontational that would be for other people to see. Anyway, we got to her first trimester, and she was one of the first few people that we told. We rang her and told her on the phone, and she was screeching. She was screaming and, crying, and I was crying. And then she's like, I've painted this painting. So she'd painted this painting, and then she presented it to us, and a little bit nervous, but as soon as I saw it, I bawled my eyes out. My husband turned around and said, that looks like my granddad, like the side profile of the baby that she had painted. It looked like a family member, like a likeness. It was just another level of confirmation that God had this, he was protecting our daughter. But throughout the whole pregnancy, at each checkup, the doctors would always have bad news for us. They would say things like, it looks like your baby's got Down syndrome, it looks like your baby's too small. The prophetic words kept on flooding in even more and more, declaring that my story would actually be the story that would break barren wombs over women. That painting that Grace painted for me, it hangs in the front entrance of our house. I would just go and look at that painting, and for me, that painting was my visual hope. I would just need to look at that painting to help calm the storm within, the worry that was through that period. It's a really powerful painting. There's a resonance about this painting. There is power and authority in this painting. The Holy Spirit's all over it. So we had Isabel, and when she was born, there was no deformities, nothing. Everything that the doctors had said that would be never happened. She was perfect. She had her 10 little fingers and her 10 little toes and her cute little nose, and she is everything and more of my heart's desires. She's more than anything that I could ever have hoped for or dreamt of. She's perfect. She perfectly fits into our family, and she's just got such a beautiful heart. Yeah, we could not imagine life without her. Like, she's just perfect. I was in our front lounge room one day, and I was looking out towards the painting, and my husband was holding my daughter in his hand like this, and I was like, oh my goodness, it looked like her as an infant. So Grace essentially actually painted our daughter. So when you held a picture of Belle against the painting as an infant, it looked like her. And she essentially was painted in this painting before she was actually born. Since the painting's been painted, and I've just found myself in like really unique situations with couples that are journeying the same road that me and my husband have previously. Not only is this painting blessed myself and my husband, we've been lucky enough to be able to pray into these other couples' future for their children. Like, I feel very privileged that I've been put in that position. And I keep going back to those prophetic words that have been spoken over me about the fact that I will roar over these barren wombs and they will be healed. So I very much believe that this painting is part of that journey. So it's kind of a painting that's not only just for us, but I believe it's actually meant to reach multitudes of people, like lots of people in our situation.